the House did pass the debt ceiling bill in a bipartisan vote. So it's moving to Senate. The Senate's going to pass this thing. Joe Biden's going to sign it. It's calamitous. It's going to be hugely stupid. Now, I think the biggest fun factor of it all is it's called the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is utter nonsense. If you think about being fiscally responsible, this is like a philosophical rule. This is kind of like a law of the universe. If it is right and good and works in the little things, then it is right and good and works in the big things. We find this in both the New and the Old Testament. We find this principle in Proverbs. It's just wisdom, guys. Even if you're an a-religious person, spend less than you make. That's the rule. Those are the rules that govern personal finance for the home. That's what actual fiscal responsibility is. And, the Epic Times is covering this whole thing, and there's like 1,000 opinion stories. Oh my gosh. If you just type D in the Google, debt ceiling, and opinion pieces are going to pop up. McCarthy says that he believes that this agreement, I believe this is an agreement in principle that's worthy of the American people. Kevin McCarthy, I think that you're an idiot for this. I don't think that this is a good agreement. I think the principles of debt are the borrower is slave to the lender, and you are indebting the American people's children's children. So my kids, sweet little kids, my grandkids, and their sweet little kids, my great-great-grandkids are going to be paying for this. All you got to do is pop up the national, the debt, like type in the Google, the live debt tally, and just watch it. It's trillions of dollars, and it just goes up, 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 up. But this man, Chip Roy, is on fire. Chip says, at best, we'll have a 2-year spending freeze that's full of loopholes and gimmicks. Absolutely right. Just like the last spending freeze, somehow these departments of government still buy billions of dollars of bullcrap. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love what Chip Roy has been doing. He's getting out there and exposing exactly, what Congress is not doing. And, he's come out and said exactly the best that we can hope is to have a spending freeze for 2 years. And I think a lot of people that were opposed to this bill, Chip Roy, I think Lauren Boebert was opposed to it. The list of people that were opposed to it suddenly seemed to shrink the more that they were debating this bill. But the idea, they want to get back to pre-COVID size of government. And what just blows my mind is before COVID, it was, I don't know if unfathomable, but to me it was unfathomable to pass a bill that was $1 trillion or over $1 trillion. And yep. To my understanding, we had never done anything like that. And now they are making this the norm. Like, we're not talking about million or billion dollar bills anymore. The norm is now $1 trillion. So to label this as something called fiscal responsibility is an absolute joke. If you look at the bills in the past, the COVID relief bill that didn't actually provide COVID relief, or the infrastructure bill that had nothing to do with infrastructure, or the Inflation Reduction Act that actually raises inflation, they have a habit of labeling these bills things that do the opposite of what they are supposed to do, or at least what we're being sold as. And from what I understand, we didn't get anything other than what Chip Roy just said, which was a spending freeze, which is really just to get through the next election. It's not really to do anything. So.
Yeah. Chip asks the question, what do the American people get? What do we get for this deal? And the answer is emphatically nothing, except for more debt, more bondage. This is why people don't think about these numbers. I know this is a fact, but I tried to pull this and I couldn't find it. People do not think about these numbers. This is $1 trillion. Okay, so everyone, we have trouble conceptualizing some of the numbers, but you have money. So a dollar's a dollar, 100, 1,000. 1,000 thousands is $1,000,000. 1,000 millions is $1,000,000,000. 1,000 billions is $1 trillion. The United States' GDP is about 20 to 25 trillion dollars. Now, keep in mind the reparations deal that Dumb Californians proposed is going to cost, I think, $180 trillion. No, it's going to cost $220 trillion. But global GDP, all of the countries, all of the king's horses, all of the king's men is like $180 trillion. So given that the entire world produces $180 trillion of stuff, 1 trillion is almost, it's a little over 0.5%.
Yeah.
No government anywhere should be doing deals like that. That's the definition of fiscal irresponsibility. But the Fiscal Responsibility Act, boom, $1 trillion. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like it's almost comical that they labeled it that. But I think what people also, and myself included, struggle to conceptualize is the fact that this debt rests on our shoulders. And a lot of people have mentioned, kicking the can down the road and just essentially pushing these things out so far so that the people that are in office now, or even, people that are like our age, really aren't going to feel as big of an impact, or they're not going to have to deal with the consequences of it like our children will. But if we don't, if we're not the ones that have to deal with it, then it doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. But the idea of taking, having debt or taking out loans is that you can pay them back. But essentially all they're doing is taking out more loans to pay off the previous loans, and then bigger loans to pay for the things that they want to see coming. And it's just compiling this debt. And at some point, like, the economy is just going to crash, and that's going to have worldwide impact because the world relies on the US economy. So, what does that mean for our kids? What does it mean for the next generation or the generation after that? Like, that's not that far off.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I'm an entitled American. I don't care about other generations. Like, oh man, we want things now, cheap, easy. It cracks me up that we talk so much about slavery. Meanwhile, there are more slaves alive now than there were in the transatlantic slave trade, and in other countries, and some of the same countries that they were in. But we're indebting, we're enslaving, we're putting our future generations in bondage and chains that you can't see, but physically, almost physically in bondage. They were going to have this thing hanging around their neck, dragging down their upward mobility, their ability to purchase property and land. I feel like it's a freaking Greek tragedy, but I'm a Dave Ramsey guy. No one wants to hear what I think about debt, so. You want to move on to the next story?
No, I wanted to touch on one more thing just
Hit it.
regarding this. Related to the fact that they called this like the Fiscal Responsibility Act. First of all, the fact that we have like Democrats celebrating this, and it's not a good sign, the fact that they called this a win, because we know that Democrats don't compromise on anything. So essentially, they got everything they wanted. As Chip Roy mentioned, the loopholes, they're essentially going to be able to do whatever they want. There's always a way around the provisions in the bill and the amendments. But also, I think, and this is something that I read about even a couple of years ago, we do have Marxists in office. And I think people need to kind of realize more what that means. But there's a lot of people in Congress right now on the left, the far left extremists, that believe in modern monetary theory. And I'm sure that you've heard of that. I don't think it's a popular, a well-known idea at this point. But essentially, modern monetary theory is basically that you don't have to think about the budget. You think that as long as you are a currency issuer, which the US is, that you should be able to just print money for all the things that you need. And that once the inflation starts going up, to counter that inflation, it's hard to explain. To counter the inflation, you raise the prices of things so the demand goes down. And then when the demand goes down, it forces the prices to go down again. So it's kind of this backwards way of thinking, but essentially there's zero fiscal responsibility in that. These people honestly, truly believe that you should be able to print money, print as much money as you want, whenever you want, for what you need. So there is zero fiscal responsibility. These people never, ever, ever, ever plan on balancing a budget or passing any kind of a reasonable budget or stopping, borrowing money of any kind. This is just, so the fact that they're happy about this, they know that that is just one more thing down the road towards essentially this destruction of the market.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's Keynesian economics there. And the problem with modern economic theory, which someone actually said something in the chat, I was looking for it because I lost it. I don't know if it was Facebook or YouTube. But it was basically about spending your way out of debt, and Americans just buy, whatever. Yeah, that stuff doesn't work. In reality, the way economics works is you do need to spend less than you make. There does need to be some type of budget. And look, if you're leveraging debt, if you're using a mortgage, or if you're using investment vehicles that are regular investment vehicles, 401ks, mutual funds, IRAs, those types of things, there's a certain level of risk, but they're kind of guaranteed over a 10-year period. For the whole entire history of the stock market, the mutual fund is going to be in the positive over a 10-year period. If you jump off the roller coaster, then you will secure your losses. But if you stay in, if you treat a long-term investment like a long-term investment, you are going to win, period. The other problem is this idea that we can manipulate the markets, which is I think you nailed it. You're talking about market manipulation. Instead, what needs to be done is market driving or market influencing. That's when you bring a good to market, a service, a product, a good, an idea, whatever, and you're creating new value that wasn't in the world. All of the components of an iPhone, nothing in here is new, like on Earth. All of these materials were around, but the ingenuity, the innovation, the idea generation to create this, Steve Jobs turned nothing into something, and this is a new value. It's not taking people's money and, there's this much piece of the pie. This is a whole new pie. Apple's a whole new pie. It's the first $1 trillion organization in the history of the world. So we need to bake more pies. We need to bake completely new pies and bring new products. There's crap all over my desk, and people made this junk, and it's like, wow. There didn't used to be Bluetooth speakers. You used to have to wire in the speakers. Actually, it used to be the megaphone thing, those brass shells. Then someone made a freaking speaker with a wire, and now there's Bluetooth speakers. I don't even know how this works, but it works, and I paid for it, and you pay for it too. That's how economics work. That's how influencing economics works. You don't want to manipulate the global system. That's stupid. But these freaking World Economic Forum idiots, they just want to play God in like the weirdest way, like with this market stuff. It's never worked.
No, and essentially, they want the outcome of a valuable product without actually creating a valuable product. So, they essentially want everything that comes from creating, the phone that you have in your hand without actually giving you the phone in your hand. But they want all the money that would come from that. So, they don't want to give us anything of value for the money that they're spending, but they just want to be able to continue to do it, which essentially, like if you keep printing money and there's nothing that comes with it, then everything kind of goes downhill. So it's just not good. But essentially, like the goal is to destroy the free market. So that's what they're going for. So again, fiscal responsibility. it's like, it just blows my mind that they would like it's almost like they're kidding. Like that should be a meme of something.
Yeah.
Hey, if you enjoyed that clip from the Joe Mobley Show, of which I join every Thursday evening to talk about the week's biggest headlines and the stories most likely to make your head explode, there's a few things I need you to do. First, like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and share it with others. Also, be sure you are subscribed to my channel. You can click the link in the description box to catch the week's latest full episode, and tune in every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we stream on all major platforms on both of our accounts, including YouTube, Getter, Twitter, and Facebook. But most importantly, Rumble, because we do need to support platforms that support free speech. Also, be sure to catch my daily videos where I talk about the topics that I think matter to everyday people, especially those of us trying to raise kids in the insanity known as today's society. I do appreciate your support on my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.